Welcome back to another edition of the BarDown Podcast. It's Luca, Jesse, and Pac, and we are in the thick of the first round of the NHL Playoffs. If you haven't seen it already, check out Jesse and Riz's trip to Buffalo for the first ever Sabres playoff game in 15 years. It was a great video.
For the show, man.
It looked like a great time. It's one of the series we're going to be talking about because every series other than the Oilers and Ducks is through 2 games at the very least. But we want to just check in on teams and how much they should be panicking at this point. Obviously, there's 3-2-0 series so far. The Oilers are at 1-0, and then the rest have split. So it's not as many, I don't think, 2-0 series leads as we thought. It's been a very competitive first round so far. But even for the 1-1 series, we'll go through each team. Maybe if one team should be a little more panicked than the other going to another environment and being tied. But it's easier to start with the 2-0 series. So let's start with Flyers Penguins, because I think that's the most intriguing one. When we talked about this series kind of going in, we were a little divided on it. I think you both had Philly winning. I had Pittsburgh winning.
I had Pittsburgh.
Oh, you had Pittsburgh as well. So it was kind of a toss up, but I know a lot of people responded in the kind of tier ranking that we did of where the Flyers were, 16-1. I had them at 16. You guys had them a couple spots higher at 14. And they've gotten out to a 2-0 series lead. They've stolen home ice. So how panicked, if we're talking like no panic, medium panic, full-on panic, should the Penguins be right now going into Philly down 2-0?
Full-on panic for the Penguins, no question.
If you look at Pittsburgh, I think going into this matchup, we thought it was going to be close. We thought, it's a good rivalry. It's 2 teams that have had very, very promising seasons. But I think the battle of the 2 teams and what they are known for, what their calling cards are, is Philly can shut you down. They were one of the best defensive teams in the NHL this season. And Pittsburgh, funny enough, you don't think of this Pittsburgh team as like, oh my gosh, they have so much firepower. This is the highest scoring team Sidney Crosby's ever, like in the tenure of Sidney Crosby, which
especially down the stretch
does not really make sense in my brain when you look at this team on paper, but their calling card is scoring goals and putting the puck in the net. And game 1, what did they finish with? 16 shots. Game 2, shut out, like on home ice. It's very concerning. I think the only kind of glimmer of hope is the fact that you have Sidney Crosby, you have Evgeny Malkin, you have Chris Letang, you have Erik Karlsson in that room, veterans who have been on long
Tanger hasn't had his best series through 2 games. But
I'm very panicked for Pittsburgh. I'm very fascinated to see how they come out tonight and how they respond. But it's not good when, it's kind of 2 very good teams that are known for different things, and that one team is clearly winning the battle.
And there's one player who's like really been a huge difference maker. How good has Vladar been? He's been unbelievable in the series so far. Philly, like you gotta respect and love kind of the way Philly's playing right now. They are in your face. They don't care who you are. They're gonna be mean. Like Sanheim and Crosby going at it, just exchanging like cross checks and slashes. That's a message from Philly. Like, we do not give a crap who you are. We're going to play our style of hockey. Mean. We're going to shut you down, not give you many great chances. And yeah, I don't know. Tocchet has these guys humming right now. They are not giving up a lot.
They aren't. And I think another kind of impressive player is Owen Tippett, who's been really good. Yeah. I think him, Zegras, and Forcer especially have been kind of the best line for them, especially at 5-on-5. If you're Pittsburgh and you're looking for a glimmer of hope, it's that the ice is pretty tilted when it's 5-on-5 still. It's not like Philly is generating a ton, but if you get down, we've seen it. Like you just have a tough time clawing back against this team. And despite the offensive firepower that the Penguins have, it also just seems like Anthony Mantha had a great year. Who's their most reliable goal scorer when the going kind of gets tough and you're looking at it? And like, we love Crosby, we love Malkin. It's nice in the regular season to have all of this depth and this scoring, but in the playoffs, as we're kind of seeing, it's a lot more difficult. And I would love to maybe see this team with Crosby and Malkin 5 years ago, maybe. Because that might be the difference.
I do think Philly has other guys though that can score. Like Chinnikov was so good down the stretch. Karlsson had been scoring so many goals. Like, I think Philly is just really their style of play. Like, they've been the best. They've just been shutting teams down. They've been playing so well defensively. They're not giving Pittsburgh anything. It's like eye-opening, and it kind of wonders, like, it's just interesting to see in the playoffs different teams play different styles. Philly's style is obviously working for them right now, and yeah, I don't know, that pass that Tippett made, was it on the PK?
Yeah, it was the shorthanded.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a
Pittsburgh's
play.
power play last game was 0 for 5 or 0 for 6, and they allowed a goal. So
Important, man.
their special teams have to step up, especially when they got a lot of talent on that unit. So yeah, I'm very concerned about Pittsburgh right now.
And another player who, I gotta say, like, what an unbelievable story Porter Martone has been this year. He has been such a difference maker for this team. Has been one of their better players. And I gotta say, like, I remember seeing Porter Martone at the Top Prospects from a couple years ago, and he was slender. It just looked like there was some work that needed to be done before he got to the NHL. And I thought I even saw it at the World Juniors. Then I saw him at the World Juniors this past year. This guy must have put on, I'm not even kidding, he may have put on 30 pounds of muscle. He is an absolute unit of a dude. Like, just in such good shape, so thick. Like, he's just a complete machine. Sorry, I don't know if unit was the right word. He's a machine. Like, he's in incredible shape, so strong, and
He's an ox.
He's an ox, and it's working to his advantage in the playoffs so far. He's a tough bugger, so I think he is just such a perfect fit for that team.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Stuart Skinner has not been great either as far as goaltending goes, and I think he's been fine. But just the contrast between him and Vladar right now is interesting because if the Penguins maybe even had just average goaltending right now or a little above average, maybe they steal one on home ice. But Skinner has not, and it might take him stealing one in Philly, because if it's going to be these low scoring games, that means that you need your goaltender to probably get you one. And I don't trust that that's going to happen anytime soon with this team. So they need to find a way to break through, or else this series might end in 4 or 5 even, because right now Philly's defensive plan is just perfect. It really is, and that building's going to be rocking.
Philly has never lost a series in their history after going up 2-0. So
this is worst case scenario.
It's
for
the first time for
Penguins.
everything, but not a good start, and Philly has a chance to wrap this up and not even have to make the trip back. I know it's not that long of a trip, but
Yeah. It doesn't too
Not
bad.
very long.
It's too bad. It's like, I mean, it's far from over. There's still time for this to turn around. And, you talk about going into a hostile environment and kind of taking over. I think, as we mentioned, like Crosby, he's a guy, great leader, can kind of lead his team in that scenario. But it's like they're finally back, and then just 2 tough games to start the series. But you never know.
Edmonton was down 2-0 last year.
for sure.
Yep.
There's lots of series left, for sure.
It happens for sure. It's one of those things where you're not scoring, though. It just feels like there's so much more pressure on you to play perfectly and to try and grab a lead early, because if you get down, it's just going to be that much more difficult against a team like this. And they're kind of fully displaying why they were one of the best defensive teams in the league this year. Let's move on to the Sens. Sens and Hurricanes. The Hurricanes up 2-0. It's been a pretty even series, I would say, especially game 2. That one kind of could have gone either way. The overtime was wild.
I still don't understand.
So many
comment
things
section,
happening.
Explain to me why the penalty shot was given. I still don't understand, but
yeah,
regardless.
I'm of the opinion that, like, if it's offside,
Yeah,
nothing
play
after
should
that
have
should
nullified.
count.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it doesn't matter. How can a penalty happen
bring the
after
clock
an
back
offside?
to where it happened and whatever.
That is an NHL rule, though, right?
Yeah.
I think
It is, but
explained,
it just doesn't make any
sense.
sense,
Yeah.
though. Like,
Yeah.
if there is a change to that rule that needs to come, because the goal doesn't count, so why would the penalty?
yeah.
If the play is
Completely
offside, then the
ridiculous.
play is offside.
Yeah.
If they don't call a penalty on that play too, doesn't the face-off just go to one of the dots outside?
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I would imagine.
That's what I would imagine. It doesn't go to center because they messed up. It's offside. So the face-off goes there. So why does anything after it doesn't matter. It's a dumb
Regardless,
thing.
it was an incredible, probably the game of the playoffs so far.
I agree. I completely
it's
agree.
amazing.
It was awesome. The series has been great. I think the Hurricanes have been awesome so far. I don't think the Sens have necessarily been bad by any means. Key storylines in this one have been injuries to the defensive group for Ottawa. Zub not playing in game 2 and most of game 1 was a pretty tough loss for them. And then Clevin still hasn't played, and they've had to mix and match some pairs that just haven't been working. But how panicked are you for the Senators? Again, just not panicking. mid and full panic going back home down 2-0 to this Hurricanes team.
I'm definitely not feeling as panicked, I don't think, as a team like Pittsburgh should maybe be feeling. I think there are positives to take away from Ottawa. Like they for sure could have won game 2. I mean, I don't know how Stützle didn't score on that one where he hit the post. That was just that
like
was
several times.
but there was that one where he made the deke. That was just completely crushing. But you know, I think they've looked speed wise. They've been on par. I think they've been, you know, chances. They've been exchanging a lot of good opportunities, both teams, and Carolina's just found a way in both games. And I think that there is something to be said about having that experience that like Carolina did find a way to win those games. But you know, again, Carolina, best home team in the league this year, and I'm pretty sure in the playoffs, Ottawa is the worst road team, or one of them. I think LA is the only one that has less regulation wins. So if you're Ottawa, you're coming back home, and maybe you just say, look, let's calm things down a bit. We've been playing well. We can easily take 2 here. It's going to be tough, but I don't think it's out of the question. Like, I feel more confident in Ottawa coming back than I do Pittsburgh.
I think, honestly, this is a positive for Ottawa, but it's maybe one of the reasons why I'm not so more panicked, but deflated. To me, their best player's been Linus Ullmark.
For sure.
And we talked all year about all Ottawa needs is good goaltending, and they'll be one of the best teams in the NHL. They'll be able to go so far in the playoffs. That was their big what if going into the playoffs. We're concerned about Ullmark. He has been incredible, and they're still 2-0 down. Yeah, and I just think when we look back at game 2, I have no doubts that Ottawa will claw their way back and make this a series somehow. But I think when we look back at game 2 in particular, that just feels like if you're going to win a series with the chances that they've had, you needed to steal that game.
Yep.
Because you might not get that chance again in Carolina. Carolina is a tough team to play against. They can just shut you down and kind of drown you out and make things very, very difficult. Where I think they could be had is Freddie Anderson's let in a couple shaky goals in game 2. I thought game 1 he was very good.
I thought he was pretty good both games, man. He's been really good this series. Like, the whole series, he's been playing pretty well. I agree. I think that's a great point about Ullmark. What a save he made at the end of the third period.
He's not the reason they're down 2-0.
He's been so good. Just some of the chances that Ottawa had, it's just like, man.
Yeah.
I feel like game 6, if it comes to it, like you'll just look back on that and be like,
yeah,
you know what, we had a good playoff, we fought well, hopefully they'll get a couple wins at home, but similar to the Leafs last year where it's just like you started too slow, you found yourselves down, and this is what happens, right?
It's funny, him and Ullmark and Freddie are the top 2 goalies in goal save above expected so far this postseason. So, and we were talking about kind of Bussy going into the playoffs and what they were going to do in net, and Rod went with the proven kind of commodity because Freddie has been really good in the playoffs. He's been hurt, but his postseason career with the Hurricanes has been pretty solid. He's been pretty reliable, and it's good to see him there. I think the biggest thing that worries me for Ottawa is the defensive depth, and they haven't really been able to find someone they want to play with Jake Sanderson right now, because it's obviously been him and Zub, but they've tried it with Manton Paulo, and that pair has just been a disaster. They're getting caved in at even strength, outshot 20-6 in 20 minutes together. So the Hurricanes are kind of feasting on that matchup, and they've tried to like double shift Spence with Shabbat. That's been their best pair, but also Spence with Sanderson. They've been really good together as well.
All those guys play like 40 minutes.
It's kind of the thing where like the bottom of the blue line is not playing a whole lot at even strength, which makes sense, but you need them to eat some kind of minutes, and I wonder if home ice is going to give them some matchup advantages that they didn't have, because they have no answer for the Blake Hall Stankoven line. I think that's been best,
incredible.
They've been the best line of the playoffs, I think, so far, or the most impressive one. But it seems like the top lines for both teams are kind of just a wash right now. Like Aho, Svechnikov really haven't done much. Kachuk, Stützle really haven't done much. So having that,
he could have had 4 goals last game.
100%. I guess what I mean is like stats wise right now, like it's kind of been a wash. The biggest difference on the ice right now has been that Blake Hall Stankoven line, because they've been unbelievable so far.
I'm pretty sure Stankoven in his last 10 games, 10 goals and 4 or 5 assists in his last 10 games. He's been unbelievable for that team, firing all cylinders. So yeah, I don't know. And I know we talked about this in Puck. We talked about a bit earlier about like Kachuk and like where he is kind of right now. And I just think that like he looked better last game. I just think, and like I have a friend who's always on me, like Brady Tkachuk, top 25 player. How is he not on your list? All this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Brady Tkachuk is not a top 25 player in the playoffs. Sorry, like. Yes, he's big. Yes, he can score a lot of goals, and I like Brady Tkachuk's game, but I think he's leaving a little to be like. You kind of want a little more out of him in these situations. It's like, can he take over? Can he score some big goals here? It just hasn't happened. So I'm not ready to give Brady that title yet until he really goes out and prove it. Yes, do we like his intangibles? Of course, but let's see you actually show it in a series.
It's tough because you want to compare him to Matthew, obviously, right? Like the two of them, you saw him at Four Nations, you saw him at the Olympics, but I think they're really different players. Like Matthew's so much more skilled offensively, it seems like, than Brady. And Brady is much more in your face, I would say, and like scores the ugly goals, like gets to the front of the net, probably better in front of the net with tips. But when you're talking about like creating offense, I think Brady's just kind of living off of Matthew's reputation in that area a little bit because they're both Tkachuks, where their style of play is very different, and he doesn't take over games as much as his brother does. Not to say he can't, it just looks different when he does, and he hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, like he's still obviously super valuable.
He's a really great player.
And he does obviously have some good offense to him, but I mean, he's not... Where is it? Like, let's see it here. And in fair, like Carolina is a suffocating team as well, and they're tough to play against. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like let's see him take over a little more here.
So weird seeing Matthew in the stands. Like after so many years of us watching like Brady at Florida Panthers games and him being like, "Oh, I can't wait for my chance to be in the playoffs."
Yeah.
It's so weird to just see it the other way. But whatever.
Electric start to the playoffs with the fight that him and Jordan Stahl had right off the draw. What a way to get NHL playoff hockey back for the next couple months. The last 2-0 series is one that just kind of happened in the early hours of Wednesday with the Avs and Kings. Colorado winning 2-1 in overtime. Nick Waugh, the overtime winner.
Worth the first round pick.
Yeah, for that goal alone, probably. He had a great game one as well. But the Kings... It really has been like a story of they are great defensively, but God, are they boring to watch offensively. Like they just, outside of Kempe and Panarin, it seems like, and Byfield had a great game last night as well, but outside of those three guys, it just seems like they're holding on for dear life, hoping for power plays where they can take advantage of the skill they have. Going back to LA down 2-0, and especially after that one where they scored late in the third, you think they're going to steal one and they let it go. How panicked are you for the LA Kings in the first round here?
I think it was really nice that they got a point last night.
So, 5-on-5 is a little different than 3-on-3. I saw a lot of those tweets where it was like, the Kings earned a point tonight.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff.
I mean, let's be honest. We all sat here and said, like, the Avs are going to win this series in 5. Did anyone have them in 4? I think I
had them in 4, but like
a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah.
To say this, and I guess I'll factor expectations into this. To come away 2 games in Colorado, keep it close, keep it respectable, make Colorado sweat. Like, if anything, I'm more confident that this is going to be a series. I don't think any of us were like, man, how are the Kings down 2 in Colorado? Let's see what they can do on home ice before I say I'm like super panicked.
I think if they get 1 game in this series, which I don't see them getting more than a game, if anything, in this series. Not to say they haven't played well. I just think Colorado is such a tough opponent, and there was just I don't know, like even when Colorado was down last night, I was kind of like, I feel like the Avs are just going to find a way here somehow. But no, like, respect to the way that the Kings defense played. Like, they played so well yesterday. Forsberg played well yesterday. The way I'm kind of looking at this series is more from a Colorado perspective. I'm looking at it as in, like, how does Colorado look in this series, and what does it mean for them long term in the playoffs? And I think they showed a lot of, like, character last night, finding a way to win. But man, the West is just such a battle right now. Like, there are so many teams that can come out of the West. I still think Colorado is the favorite, but I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see who kind of comes out of the West long term, because Colorado's obviously looking good now. I think Dallas and Minnesota have both looked good and have shown reason for why they could even give Colorado a run in the next series. Edmonton could make a run deep. I don't know. Maybe you want to touch on Colorado, though, Luca, because you've probably been watching them the closest.
Well, I was going to say, like, it's such a weird one because I've seen a lot of people compare them to, like, Edmonton, and we're like, Edmonton scored, like, 6 goals a game against this Kings team a year ago. They were also down 2-0, and we're leaking chances as well, where I look at the Avs, and I think they've learned how to win both ways, where it was like, you trust that their firepower is eventually going to score, but this is a team that hasn't allowed an even strength goal yet this series. They have allowed 2 power play goals, both kind of unfortunate ones as well, where Taves gets cross-checked in front of the net last night, and it's a no call after kind of a tic-tac call goes the other way. And so, like, I think how they're playing and the fact that they're displaying that they can win these close games, because DJ Smith said it after the first game. He's like, how many games are we going to kind of hold them to 2? Like, how many games are they going to win scoring 2 goals? It's like, well, they can win scoring 2 goals because their defense and goaltending is just as good. So
Wedgwood has been fired.
He's been awesome.
He looks great.
I think that it's encouraging, truthfully, to see them play a team that is playing a very specific style that's just like, we are going to defend the hell out of you. We don't care if we have 7 shots at even strength all game long or 10 shots at even strength all game long. Like, if we get a power play, we'll put our skill out there. We'll hope to get the lead, which is exactly what they did last night, and we're going to defend the hell out of you. And I think the fact that they have not gotten completely frustrated, they've stuck with it, has been impressive to see, because I think the other matchups might suit them better, where those teams like to play a little more up and down, the Stars and the Wild. They don't like to just sit back and defend you. And the Kings have a very specific way they have to win. So I think that's kind of the biggest difference between them and the opponents they're going to face. And I've been impressed with what I've seen from Colorado, with how they have gone about winning these games and shutting down the Kings completely, quite frankly. So yeah, that's kind of my main takeaways from that
I think
series.
it speaks to the level of the Avalanche when they're up 2-0 and people are like criticizing, not criticizing, but like, are we concerned of how they're up 2-0? It's the NHL playoffs. You just got to win. That's the most important.
For sure. I'd rather win these games with the top players, like, they're still playing well but not scoring. It's going to come. Like, these guys are unbelievable players. It's going to come, and it's just a matter of time. And I think that's why that one was so important for the Kings last night, where it was like, you held them off the score sheet for a long time. How many games are you going to have like this? There are probably not many on the horizon, so you got to take advantage of those opportunities. I will say, like, Brandt Clark and Quinton Byfield have been so good, and Panarin has been amazing for them. I think the Kings, it's tough to see them without Fiala, because it was kind of the all-in move to get Panarin, and it sucks to see this team not have kind of their full strength offense, and I'd like to see them play a little more offensively, because I think they have the talent to do that. But it's a tough matchup for them, and this is probably the only way they feel like they can take them far, which makes sense to me.
And Byfield missed that penalty shot. You know, if
it was an unbelievable save.
It can
change the whole game.
Change the entire game.
It can change the entire game for sure. I also don't think that was a penalty, but it looked like he just lifted his stick, but was it offside? It wasn't offside. It wasn't offside. The rest of the series we're going to talk about are all 1-1. Let's keep it in the West. Let's start with the Wild and Stars. Is there a team you're panicking more for in this, or is it really just a 50-50? The Wild obviously kind of blew out the Stars in that game 1. Dallas really had a great effort to come back and earn the split on home ice after that game 1. But is there maybe a player, a matchup, something that you are looking at for the rest of this series that gives you a little pause?
I don't think so. I think we all kind of touted these teams as top 5 teams in the NHL going to the playoffs. I had Dallas at 2 and Minnesota at 3. So off of that, this is a potential Stanley Cup matchup in terms of the talent on the ice. Obviously, these two teams couldn't meet in Stanley Cup final. But regardless, this is one I expect to go to the distance. Great to see Minnesota come out game 1 and make a real statement, and to see Dallas kind of punch back in game 2 is great. Big performance in game 2 from someone like Jake Ottinger. I thought he was very, very good.
That is, like, I agree, and that was an amazing bounce back game. But what does concern me is that first game that he had. Yeah, and I get it's the first game of the playoffs, but man, we've seen it before, and sometimes I'm kind of just like, what? Ottinger's so good, but that first game was just like a little. If I'm not, I think it's a coin flip. I think this series could go either way. I think there's not a lot to really nitpick about this series. But if there is one thing I think to be a little concerned about, it is the fact that Onger did not play well in that first game. And like, are we going to see that again in this series? Also, I think Wallstedt has looked pretty darn solid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's such an even series. It just feels
so
like it's inevitable
talent.
that it's going to 7.
I think I watched it. This was the same night. It was Pittsburgh, Philly, and then Dallas, Minnesota, and I guess the the Ottawa Carolina game was kind of going on overtime. So it was flipping between all these games. The difference in level, and no disrespect to Pittsburgh and Philly, I think they've put on a good show so far. But just when you watch some of these guys on Dallas and Minnesota, you're just like, Faber and Quinn Hughes have been phenomenal.
Faber's been playing out of his mind.
Miro Heiskanen, like just watching him skate,
he's been so
what a great player. And then obviously the firepower that both teams have up front.
Matt Boldy, my God, I love that guy.
It's been and again, I'm not panicking on either team. I hope this series goes to 7. I just want to watch every single game because it's been great so far.
I think there are a couple areas in panic for both teams. One, the Ranton and Johnston line has just been kind of quiet. They haven't been able to, with Rupe out of the lineup, just that line has looked off completely. And I will say, like, I looked back at this because playoff Mikko Rantanen has not showed up yet. So in his career with the Stars, he's 20 playoff games. That 4-game stretch from game 5 against Colorado to game 1 against Winnipeg, 8 goals, 14 points. The other 16 playoff games, 1 goal, 9 points. Held off the score sheet in 9 of those games. It's really just that 4-game stretch that Mikko has shown up for this Stars team in the postseason. They need a lot more from him. I'm sorry. That just does not get it done. And they felt it in the Edmonton series in the conference final last year. I think they're feeling it right now a little bit through 2 games. Rupe not playing in game 3 and probably not playing in game 4 is kind of a big one for them. But for them, the Duchesne, Robertson, and Bork line has been great. And I think for Minnesota, the area of concern is Spurgeon Brodin have kind of been getting caved in a little bit. Like Faber and Hughes have been really good, but that pair specifically has not been as steady as they have been all throughout the regular season. So I'm interested to see what they kind of get matched up on home ice and what kind of matchups they want to employ there because
Johnson has a couple goals, doesn't he?
He's got the one power play goal.
He scored the empty netter.
He scored the empty netter, but it was the fluke off it was the fluke off of the back. Where
how many apples does he have?
I don't think he has any. If I'm not
even his empty netter was from his own zone, and Quinn Hughes clearly thought it was missing the net. Stopped skating. That was such
a funny play.
Then realized it's actually going to go in.
He's got 1 assist,
and then ran into the boards.
Yeah,
he had the assist on the only goal in the 6-1 loss. But I still think like there is probably a little more that line in general can do for this team because like that's their first line, that's their top line. Like the matchup you have every night, you're supposed to win that with that kind of talent or at least produce a little more. And I think the Wild's best players are playing better than Dallas's best players right now, if we're comparing apples to apples there. Edmonton and Ducks we're not going to talk about because it's 1-0, only one that's not through 2 games yet. So let's go to a series that you've been watching closely, Montreal, Tampa Bay. Exciting one, 2 overtime games, 2 very physical games, especially game 2. Any level of panic on either side of this or areas that you are concerned about for either side of this?
It's been very exciting so far. I feel like exactly as kind of I've expected so far. And if you look at the 2 games and kind of zoom out, it's probably fair that this series is 1-1. I think it was a little disheartening last night for the Habs to have a chance to go up 2-0 on the road, give up a lead late, and then show up in overtime and don't get a single shot on target in that overtime. And I think, Jesse, you talked with me a little bit about this. I'd like to see a little bit of the depth to show more with Montreal. Josh Anderson has been phenomenal. And then, of course, your big guys are always going to be there when you talk about Suzuki, Caulfield. They haven't scored yet, but I think they've been solid. Slavkovsky, we all know what he did in game 1. Hudson's been phenomenal. But it's the group of forwards after that. We have not seen anything yet from Oliver Kapanen. It's been a long time since he scored. Alexander Texier, personally, for me, I'd rather see Brendan Gallagher in the lineup. I think he just gives you a little bit more jam. Demidov, aside from the power play, hasn't done a lot. Kirby Dach had a very, very tough game yesterday, and a lot of people now are thinking that he might not play in Game 3.
I feel bad for Kirby Dach because he obviously has overcome a lot of injuries, but like he looks so slow out there, and like I know there was talk about him getting interfered on that game-winning goal. No. He should have gone to the point on that goal.
Like, it should never even come to that because he iced the puck to even get to that situation. So it's unfortunate, right?
I don't think he should have gone walked by like that. Like I think he just has to get there. And on the topic of depth, Habs top line through 2 games, 3 goals and 6 assists. I'm pretty sure. Okay, rest of the team, 2 goals and 3 assists. And those 2 goals were scored by Anderson. Speaking of Anderson, it's kind of there've been a lot of good fourth line heroes kind of in the playoffs so far. We've seen a lot of good play from fourth lines, but I agree it comes down to the depth. Montreal needs more of it, and I feel like you're watching this and you're like, wow, they could really use a guy like Michael Hage. Like honestly, not to add salt to the wound.
I don't think he would be playing in this lineup, man. I really don't think he could get into this team. But anyways,
and also, I don't know. I'm watching the game. I was watching yesterday's game, and I was kind of thinking, like, what's going on with Tampa here? Like, I feel like Tampa just needs to settle down a little. It seems as though they have, like, this chip on their shoulder that they need to just fight everyone, do all this stuff. And the first period was nuts, so many penalties. And then finally in the third period, it seems like they settled down a little. They got away from that stuff, and then they, like...
After the Hagel fight,
Kucherov finally scored, and, like, things just kind of felt like they were coming together a little more for Tampa in that third. Also, why was Scott Sabrin on the ice with less than 3 minutes left, and then he takes that dumb penalty on Anderson? It was just kind of like... I don't know. I feel like Cooper made a couple questionable decisions last night. I was like, what's going on here? But it just seemed like it took some time. If I'm Tampa, I'm going into Montreal. It's going to be a hostile environment. I'm trying to stay away from that a little bit. I'm trying to just focus on what we do well. The Lightning are a very good team. And let's just like stay calm here and try to get going. But it just seemed like it was like one thing after the next. And not that Montreal didn't instigate as well, obviously, but I feel like Tampa's going to play their best if they kind of just focus a little more and get a bit of a grip.
I think if Tampa and Montreal needs to be better at 5-on-5, like you mentioned, the top line and those numbers, a lot of that is from the power play. I think maybe all of it is from the power play. But if Tampa is just going to continue giving Montreal 6 power plays a game, you're probably going to lose this series, especially with now 3 of the final 5 games at the Bell Center. We know what that environment's going to be like. We know how fired up Montreal is going to be to play. The combination of Hudson, Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov, stuff like they're going to score in these opportunities if Tampa just wants to make this a fist fight. So I don't know. I think there's still a lot to play in this series. I think we all picked it in 6 or 7 games when we did our prediction. You talk about from Montreal's standpoint, you have to feel great. You stole a game from Tampa, but at the same time, if you look at last night as just one single regular season game, you're disappointed the fact that you gave up a lead with 5 minutes left in the third and then had a very, very poor showing in overtime. So I think there's different ways to look at it from Montreal. Definitely optimistic going forward, but areas to improve for both teams.
Yeah, what's funny is like the 5-on-5 play is interesting because they're getting outshot pretty handedly at 5-on-5, but they also are producing more high danger chances, Montreal is. And then the matchup I'm looking forward to watching is now you got to get Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slav away from Cirelli, right? Like having last change, they've been matched up together for over 24 minutes of ice time. Like that Cooper has put the Cirelli line out against them, and the shots are tilted in Tampa's favor. The goals at 5-on-5 are 3-0 with Cirelli's line out there against them. So that's a matchup that I think if you're looking for a way to kickstart the offense a little more at even strength, you have to get them away from Cirelli because that's what he does. Like that is what Cooper has them out to do. It's Cirelli, it's Hagel, it's that Gensel line that's just been unbelievable for this team so far.
Hagel's been a beast.
He's been awesome. Beast. He has been
absolutely knocked Slav out last night.
That was like, you want to go?
Man, the Corey Perry stuff in the box was hilarious.
Did you see Corey Perry just jump onto the Habs bench yesterday?
Yeah. Weird. But that's the thing.
Wants to be on the team again.
That's why I get it that Tampa has. This is kind of like what they like to do. They have fun with this, but it's like I think they just need to like. If they calm down, I think that Tampa has a good shot at winning the series, but especially going into Montreal, but it's going to be hectic.
Another one here that's been a really great series. Vegas and Utah. Utah getting the win last night. It's a Logan Cooley goal for the second straight game, I believe. Him and Gunther have been awesome, and they earned the split in Vegas, which is massive. That barn is going to be rocking in Utah for games 3 and 4, first ever playoff games on home ice for them. It's been a really impressive showing so far from the Mammoth. And is there any level of concern given what we've seen from Vegas, especially what we saw last night from Utah?
I'll take this one.
No, don't worry. I was going to let you.
Because I've been watching Vegas, and maybe I had them a little too high on my list, honestly. but I will say this. Reasons to be concerned for Vegas, there's a few things. Do you guys know that Thomas Hertl, who's making over $8 million, has not scored a goal since March 4th? I'm pretty sure it's 23 games now that he has gone without a goal. Okay, saw it in the Olympics, couldn't score for Czechia. We're seeing it now, can't score for Vegas. He had kind of an open net yesterday that he just, I don't know if you guys saw, went right through the blue paint, just missed, didn't score again. So I'm thinking Thomas Hertl's been a bit of an issue for the Vegas Golden Knights. Maybe Golden Knights fans, you want to chime in on that. And also, I'm going to say this. And not to harp on the guy too much, but I'm going to say it. Mitch Marner has been invisible, like pretty invisible through 2 games, right? He's got 2 secondary power play assists. I get it. He kills penalties. He gets a lot of ice time. But like, I'm just watching him and I'm like, there's just something, there's just been something missing in this series, at least for the past couple games. There just is not the same fight in him that I've seen in some of the other players. And
have you seen that from Eichel and Stone?
Yeah. I have. I've seen a lot more fight actually from Eichel and Stone. I see Stone as a guy getting the puck low. He's battling for pucks. There's more hunger in him. And there's one play in particular that I saw that I know I showed you earlier. And it was a very small play. But I think it was around 1:25 left in the first period. Marner goes to the corner in his own zone. Okay, he had time to go back into his zone or even put the puck down low in his own zone, let Vegas regroup. He goes to the corner. And it looked like he was scared to get hit. And he just puts a little backhand off the boards and turns it over to Utah. And Utah keeps it in the zone. And they get possession in their offensive zone. So I just think that, like, you can argue that Marner hasn't even been a top 5 player for his own team through the first 2 games. And I just think, given how much he's paid, given the year he had, I am just expecting more from him. And I think if Vegas wants to win, they need Mitch to, like, take over a game. I'm cheering for him. Okay, like, I want Marner to do this. But I'm just saying, it hasn't been there with him. And I think that if this was happening in Toronto, people would be freaking out. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But I don't know. I just think he's left a lot to be desired. I'm not saying everyone on Vegas has played well. I think there's positives to be taken away from Vegas, too. I think their 4th line has actually looked really, really good. That Smith, Dowd, and Sissons line. But I do think, yeah, you're right. Like, I think the top players need to get going, but I think if anything, it's the middle 6 that needs to get going. Howden, Smith, Marner, Dorofeyev, like, these guys, they got to get going because I don't know. And even Eichel and Stone need to be better for sure. But I don't know. I think another positive takeaway is Carter Hart has actually looked really good for the most part. I thought in game 1 he looked good. I thought last night he looked pretty good, but yeah, Utah's a good team. They look good. Like, they're fast. I thought they looked way faster last night. Logan Cooley is an in-your-face kind of player. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm seeing so much fight in Logan Cooley, and I'm like, where is that from some of the Vegas players? Where is that from someone like Marner? I don't know. That's just my take from what I've seen in the first 2 games.
I'm really impressed with Utah. I think the Keller line has probably left a little bit to be desired, and Cooley and Gunther are doing a lot of the heavy lifting for this team right now. It's definitely been their best offensive line, and they've been matched up against the kind of Barbashev, Howden, whatever forward group is kind of playing with them, along with Theodore McNabb a lot.
Barbashev was playing with Eichel and Stone last night.
He was, yeah. They've mixed and matched a lot of the line combinations.
And he's looked good, Barbashev.
Scored a beautiful goal.
And he's hitting, like, I'm like, why does Barbashev look so much better than Mitch Marner right now? No, honestly, man, I'm being serious. Like, he doesn't get paid nearly as much, but, like, when the playoffs have been on, he's been a dog. And I'm like, I don't mean to just harp on Marner too much, but, like, let's see it here. Let's take over a game here. That's just kind of what I'm He just has been invisible.
Not everyone's Uri Slavkovsky, man. It's tough to.
What?
Not everyone's Uri Slavkovsky.
Well, he's definitely not built like Uri Slavkovsky. Slavkovsky's a horse. Am I wrong about the Marner stuff? Like, you guys can speak up. I'm just saying what I've seen. I've watched both the games, and he gets all the opportunity, and like, he's got to show a little more here.
So I think what's interesting is like last night they didn't play him with Stone and Eichel. And I think they're using him in a bit more of a defensive role now with Howden and Dorofeyev. And so, like, Barbashev is going to look better playing with Eichel and Stone, I think. And I think the Eichel, Stone, Marner line looked good in game one. So I think, like, deployment-wise, it might not be the best line to take over a game with.
It's still Mitch Marner, though. Like, we're talking about this guy being one of the best players in the world, and now we're saying, oh, he's just going to play a defensive role as a second-line center. Like, sorry, he's still playing with Dorofeyev, who scored almost 40 goals this year. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Like, I'm expecting more from Marner, and he shouldn't have to play necessarily with Eichel and Stone to be an effective player. And he gets all the opportunity on the power play. He barely got a secondary power play assist last night because. Funny enough, Hurdle actually didn't get credit for that goal. It was Stone. So his goalless streak continued. So I don't know. It's like being deployed in a defensive role. Okay, he's still their second line center playing with a 40-goal scorer. I'm just saying Vegas needs more from him, I think. They need more from a lot of players. I don't want to just pinpoint on Marner, but I think they signed a guy like Marner to like be a difference maker in these kinds of situations, and he just hasn't been that yet. Not to say that he's been like bad. He's just like, I just want to see more from him, which I don't think is like really that much to ask from Vegas fans. Not that I'm a Vegas fan, but.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I think just as a team in general, I think you probably want to see like Eichel still hasn't scored yet in this series. Like Mark Stone, for how good of a season he had, is
2 goals.
He has
a goal in both games.
He's got a goal in both games, but
I actually think Stone has looked good.
He's probably looked the best of the 3.
And you can see that like. In these situations, like they're getting the puck down low to Stone. He's all over pucks. He's so like Stone has a hunger to his game that I just don't see in Marner. Not through 2 games at least. And like that's why I had Stone so high. I think Stone is a dog. Like he's a guy that goes to battle, brings his lunch bucket. Like I don't know. I prefer his style of game. I think Eichel needs to get going too. Absolutely. I don't think Eichel's looked like terrible, but like for sure he needs to get going more. But Vegas' 4th line has actually looked like one of their best lines. They've looked great. Dowd, Sissons, and Smith, they have been all over the place. And when Dowd was looking at, who was it, at Cooley the first game, he was just like, oh, I'll kill you.
Yeah, that was insane.
It's insane. So, I don't know. Sorry, you can go ahead about Vegas too. I know I went on a rant there, but I've just been watching them very closely, and like that's what I'm seeing. They also looked slow last night.
On July 1st, 2025, when Marner, or whenever he was traded, maybe it was a couple days before, I really didn't think we'd be still talking about this guy in game 2 of the playoffs and talking about him maybe not showing up, even though he's left us and he's so far away from Toronto now. But listen, I think there's a lot of this series left to still play.
Yeah.
I think Utah was never going to go down easy. Yeah, sure, you can desire a little bit more from the players you're paying the most money to if you're Vegas, but it's such a small sample size at this point. I want to see how they all perform throughout the next 3-4 games, however long this series goes. But I do think this will go, if it doesn't go the distance, there will be games where Utah looks really good and gives Vegas a ton of fits again. So close series, and I think it'll continue that way.
I think too, like Utah coming back home, playing their first playoff game in Utah, a lot of the players on their team playing their first home playoff game. It's exciting, but there's nerves that come along with that. And I think that if there is a team that can kind of go on the road and like take care of business in that situation, it would be Vegas. But kudos to Utah. Like they look really good. Like Cooley, Gunther, Keller. Like this is a fast team. We're probably talking about one of the fastest teams in the league. And Vegas plays a different style of game where they don't necessarily have that exact same speed, but it's going to be a good series, and regardless of what happened, like kudos to Utah, whether they can get out of this series or not. This is such a valuable experience for them, and you got to think the best is still yet to come in the future with this team.
Yeah, the Gunther and Cooley have really carried the load so far offensively for this team, and I'm excited to see if Keller and Schmaltz and Krause can get going a little here, because if they can, like this could turn into a pretty dangerous series for Vegas, because Gunther and Cooley playing those tough minutes on the road and already doing this in their first playoff experience has been really fun to watch. Like they've both been awesome.
And man, Cooley's got, you wouldn't expect it necessarily. He's got a mean streak to him. Like you can see he's like getting up in guys' faces. Yep. He's not scared of anyone. And like especially from someone that's not that big, I love to see that. Like I think that's great for Utah that he's doing that. He's got punch. So it's nice to see that Utah's saying like, we're not scared of you. We can take you. And yeah, they played really, really well yesterday. Kudos to them.
Last one here, Sabres and Bruins tied at 1. Comeback for the Sabres in game 1, and then the Bruins kind of kicked right back. It was a pretty dominating performance in game 2, given what we saw in game 1 and how much the ice was tilted despite the score. I think Buffalo probably deserved that win for sure in game 1, and Boston really punched back in game 2, and it's going back to Boston tied 1-1. What have we made of this series? Are we panicked in any way about either one of these teams, or is there an area of concern that you're intrigued to see in game 3 and 4 in Boston?
I think for starters, Boston, Jeremy Swayman has been very, very good. Mm-hmm. And I think we saw in game 1, like you could really look at box score and when these goals were scored, and you can make the argument of Buffalo's really only won 1 of 6 periods in this series. But
on the score sheet.
The reality was
sheet.
In game 1, that was a game that they heavily dominated, and Jeremy Swayman was just keeping Boston in that. Yeah. And then obviously last night they come out and once again Boston's off to an early lead, and then Buffalo starts to score late, and you start to think like, oh, are they going to do it again over here? Boston holds on. Obviously that goal from Geekie from center ice, it just can't happen in a playoff game. And I know Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is just, that just must be an awful feeling when you let a goal in like that. And that won't happen again in the playoffs, at least. I mean, the last time I remember that something like that happening, I think was like
that's a tough
Flyers. No, there was one, I can't remember who was on the Flyers. Flyers Islanders for some reason. I'm trying to think. There was a goal like that from center ice. It's very rare. But Boston, hey, your best players have shown up. I think Arvidsson getting 2 goals last night was huge. Geekie's been on the score sheet. Pasternak's been chipping in with points. Mm-hmm. I think I'd feel pretty good about Boston. It's just that, and it's similar breadth to what I said about the Ottawa series. You very well may look back on game 1 if you lose a series and be like, man, you just can't blow a lead like that. It's just inexcusable.
I think the difference for sure is, and we talked about it going into this, is, I mean, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, it's like, what are you going to get from him? And obviously that was a tough goal to let in. I do think like Arvidsson had a really nice goal in that snipe, but it looked like, I'm not a goalie, so maybe goaltenders want to comment on this. It looks like Luukkonen's glove was so low. He just kind of gave the entire top right of the net to shoot at. I don't know. It just feels like, Swayman is playing really, really well, and I think goaltending is certainly a concern for Buffalo. And do you think they're going to go back to Luukkonen for game 3?
Probably have to.
I would still. It's such a rare occurrence. Yeah. You kind of just got to shake that off and say, you don't want to ruin the guy's confidence. If you're going to go on a deep playoff run, you need your number 1 goalie to be with you, confident, gain some momentum. So I feel like just benching him would do more harm than good.
Especially in this situation. Yeah. First playoff experience, you have a tough one. Just get back out there. You've been doing this all year for us. It's been a pretty even matchup. Like I think through 2 games, this is probably, given how well Boston played last night and how well Buffalo played in game 1, it's probably where we should be ending up. And I don't know if there's like a clear area of concern or advantage. These are also 2 of the teams that just have really not changed any line combinations yet through 2 games. Like everyone is stuck through 2 games with each other, and they're just really playing it head up, head on right now. So I wonder if any adjustments are kind of going to be made. I think for Boston, you're probably looking for a little more secondary scoring and like Minton and Hagen's playing together. should provide maybe a little more of that as well. But Arvidsson chipping in last night was nice. And then
can we talk about Victor Arvidsson for a moment here? Like,
yeah,
this
awesome
guy,
game last night.
Man, whole season he's having a pretty good. Like, what I think he had. What do you have? He had more than 50 points. I'm pretty sure this year. He's been a dog for Boston, and I don't think. Like, what's his contract also? I don't think anyone saw Arvidsson having the year that he's having right now.
I think I criticized them on free agency when they signed him.
Man, he was getting.
I think this is the version of him we thought we were getting in Edmonton, truthfully. Like,
how
this
old is he?
is
Yeah, I think he's a year younger than me, maybe. He's a 94.
He's 33.
Yeah. So he's my age. And, I mean, yeah, like he was getting scratched with the Oilers, and now to see what he's doing with Boston, it's
crazy.
It's unbelievable, really.
He's always been a really good player.
When he was younger, naturally, he was awesome.
The fit in Edmonton was such an interesting one because you would think that his speed and skill would have fit really well into that top six, and it just never materialized. Like 2 goals in 15 playoff games last year. He's already matched that this year.
He's also a little, like he's also like. 33. He's not young. Like I feel like what's his contract? He's got to be like on less. He's got to be making like less than $3 million.
Probably not a lot given how like he's dealt with some injuries. 2-year, $8 million deal, so $4 million AAV.
So I think people were probably looking at that, being like, that's kind of an expensive deal for Arvidsson going into this season. We're thinking, but like, hey, he has obviously exceeded that by a lot. So. Props to Victor Arvidsson on what's been a great year.
Mm-hmm. I think for Buffalo, you probably want a little more secondary scoring of your own as well. Like Tage took over in game 1, obviously.
What a performance. Oh my goodness, that was electric.
Yeah, him and Tuck were awesome, and Krebs as well. But the secondary scoring was something that we kind of raved about with this team and a strength for this team. And you're not really seeing it at the moment, but I also think that's partly due to the fact that this is a first playoff experience for a lot of these guys. I think as you get more comfortable into the series, we might start to see that be the difference. And I think if they are going to win this series, I think it's got to be a difference because it was just such an advantage they had over a lot of other teams all season long. So it's going to be a fun one. I don't have any kind of prediction of where this is going to go from the rest of the series. This is the one I feel like I just have no inkling of like what's going to happen. The other ones I feel like maybe a little more confident, but this one I'm just like I have no clue. Either one of these teams could win it and wouldn't be surprising at all. I think that's all we've got, unless you guys have any quick takes on Edmonton, Anaheim. But I know it's a little more difficult to talk about just because they've only played one game. But it was a great game.
I think there were actually quite a lot of takeaways from that first game.
It's crazy that Edmonton did not win a game all year when McDavid didn't get a point, and then game 1 of the playoffs
doesn't get a point.
He was flying all over the ice, but doesn't get a point.
Stat.
I think Draisaitl was phenomenal. Getting 2 goals from Kasperi Kapanen, like that's what the Oilers need to go deep in the playoffs.
And that's what like. There's always been questions like, are they going to be able to get that kind of stuff? And it's what a statement to do. Like first game without McDavid, Dickinson gets 2 and Kapanen gets 2. Like
true.
It's
crazy.
All the
players to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was also very Edmonton-like to go up in the first period 2-0, feel like you're in control, and then just allow 3 quick goals so easily. Was whatever, but you know what? Great first game from Anaheim, I thought, to be to the end. Granlund obviously could have scored at the end. Could have been a different finish, but very promising if you're a Ducks fan for a young team to come out. A veteran like Troy Terry, who crazy this is his first playoff game, scores 2 goals. Yeah, it'll be a good battle. We'll see what happens in Game 2 tonight. I doubt that the Ducks will keep McDavid scoreless again, especially on home ice.
They didn't give him a lot, man. And it kind of seemed like McDavid was trying to do a lot on his own, and they were just stopping him. Like going into the zone, they were. I don't know. Like McDavid obviously is McDavid, but it just felt like, relatively speaking, they did a pretty good job. Obviously, they did a good job with him in that game.
Just trying to see who he was kind of matched up against and played the most minutes against in game 1 and what Anaheim was thinking there. So Carlson and Lacombe, and they matched up. Yeah. They matched up pretty well with them. Shots for and against almost even when they were on the ice, that D pairing, and they threw multiple looks at him obviously because when you don't have last change, you're going to kind of be put in those situations. So Mintyukov and Trouba were also out against them for almost the same amount of time as Carlson and Lacombe, and they did a really good job with that matchup. Anytime you keep him off the score sheet, you're doing a good job with that matchup.
How about Ingram? he held his own in that one, but I don't know. It's so interesting, like looking at Edmonton last year too. Remember they lost those 2 games to LA. They allowed, I think, 6 goals in both of the first 2 games, and then they just really found their stride. So I think the Oilers are just like they're like predictable and unpredictable at the same time. I don't know. They're a complicated team.
Very complicated team. It's been an exciting playoff so far. I know these series are only kind of 2 games in anyway, but it's kind of good to reset where we think of each of these teams and what they're doing and where they're kind of going from here. So it's been fun to kind of break every one of them down. We're going to have more podcasts as the playoffs kind of continue, but yeah, any final kind of predictions that you guys want to throw out there for the rest of the first round?
If you've not been able to catch or watch all playoff action, make sure Friday night you carve out some time to watch the Bell Center. That intro, that opening, that entrance, it's going to be special. I'm sure there'll be fireworks. I think we all remember last year, Tom Wilson versus Josh Anderson. Maybe we'll get Sabrin and Jekai. Maybe we'll get Anderson and Sabrin. It's going to be a good game.
We're going to get Dobish and Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk about Dobish. Like he's great. He's looked great. And Vasilevsky finally like had like it felt like a vintage performance. Like that's going to be the best series of the first round, I think. But also, I know we can't really talk about it here, but there's a lot going on with the Winnipeg Jets right now. And maybe that's for another.
What's going on with the Winnipeg Jets?
What's going on with the Winnipeg Jets? Well, you have Connor Hellebuck who's coming out and essentially, you guys saw that obviously when Hellebuck came out and he was asked at his end of season like interview or presser, he said, "What's like? How could this team essentially get better in the future? Or what does this team need to do differently?" And he said, "That's a Kevin Cheveldayoff question," and he really called him out by name. Okay, and
I don't think he's wrong. It's not his
no,
job.
he's not. And then he was asked about his. He talked about how complacency isn't going to get you anywhere. And then he was asked about if this past season will help him reevaluate his future with the team. And he had like a 7-second pause before, kind of giving his answer. And I mean, to me, that was just an extremely, extremely clear message directly to Kevin Cheveldayoff saying, "Hey, I can't just be leaned on to like help this team win President's trophies and like play so many games. And if I'm in the prime of my career, I need more help now. And if I don't get the help, this is going to be a problem." And the Jets are in a weird place right now because you just wonder what help can they get. I think that the beauty of the Jets early on is that they were always drafting well and complementing to their core. More recently, some of the players that they thought would maybe be able to complement their core more, like Vesalainen, Hanola, some of these guys, have just not panned out. And here the Jets are now where they don't have great depth to support those pieces like Scheifele and Connor and Morrissey and Hellebuck. And then they go out and it's already hard to sign players in the offseason. They signed Taves, who had good moments this year, but Gustav Nyquist was an absolute disaster for the Jets. I just don't know where the Jets are going to go from here. I don't know. I know that there are a lot of Jets fans who probably feel as though it's time for the organization to have some fresh eyes. Kevin Cheveldayoff is he's the second longest tenured general manager in the league behind Doug Armstrong. Doug Armstrong won a Stanley Cup and was the general manager of Team Canada's Olympic team. Kevin Cheveldayoff has 4 series wins in 15 years or since 2011. So I think there's more than ever, Chevy's seat has been hot. And I'm really curious to see what the Jets do because they're in a very weird position right now. And Jets fans, maybe you want to comment on what you think is going to happen, but I don't know. So
the team that should panic the most in the first round, Winnipeg Jets.
I think the team that should maybe panic the most in the offseason is the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, maybe they'll be like Boston.
We'll be back next year.
We'll see.
In the first round.
We'll see about that. Thanks for listening, everyone.